We sometimes see Mexican anarchists describe themselves as Magonistas, or followers of the late Oaxacan revolutionary Ricardo Flores Magón. For those who aren't familiar, who was Magón, and how has his legacy influenced popular struggles in Mexico?
In Mexico, our social movements, like those in many parts of the world, have always and continue to be influenced by other living movements of international resistance. Anarchism in Mexico was a movement that started in the 19th century. A lot of men and women in Mexico, and the southwest of the country in particular, were not happy with their situation, the way they were living, and so they sought a return to a more communal way of life. And just like today, we were at that time ruled by leaders. Back then it was dictators, now it's presidents, who acted as agents of international capital, of industrial capitalism. In the Oaxacan libertarian movement, many men and women worked to spread this model and this vision, particularly Ricardo Flores Magón, but also his brothers, Enrique and Jesus. And in Oaxaca, there were other people, like Librado Rivera and Praxedes Guerrero, who fought to create a society that was based on principles of justice, and they joined forces with the original peoples in the resistance of the original people. The indigenous peoples of Mexico had a very similar way of thinking as the anarchist movement. We didn't call ourselves anarchists because we believed that in our parts of the country, conditions and overall situation were quite different. But we were very much interested in restoring our indigenous cultural values of horizontalism, equality between genders, and to protect what our communities had, what nature gives us. Our libertarian anarchist movement was originally referred to as the Magonista movement, partly as a way of somehow belittling it, but eventually it started expanding nationally, even to the bigger cities in the north of the country. We saw resistance spread to the peasants in the Yucatan and other regions, and this movement started generalizing and growing larger. They began to cooperate with the original Zapatista movement in Morelos. And this anarchist movement, this libertarian or communitarian movement as we call it, transformed into a national movement, which helped contribute to the Mexican Revolution in 1910. And many articles of the 1917 constitutions came out of our movement. And yes, we are called Magonistas, and we have been vindicated for this. We don't believe in elections. We believe that communities can organize themselves in different ways. And frankly, the Magonista movement has been growing because we're not imposing anything. We're just revitalizing the rights of the original peoples.